Hey guys, how's it going? Narwhal here, back again with another video, and today we're going to be doing a Premier League prediction for this weekend's games, the games that are happening on Saturday and on Sunday. The biggest game of the weekend is by far the Arsenal against Liverpool match at Anfield, and this is a game that could define the top four. If Arsenal manage to beat Liverpool, then I do think that they will be able to secure their spot in top four. And I think Liverpool will drop even further downward than fifth. I think that Manchester United in the end will probably finish above them. But for now, Liverpool are fifth, Arsenal are fourth, I do believe. And we can see what FIFA thinks about the game while we talk about the other games that are going to be happening at the weekend. So, as I said, the biggest game of the weekend is Liverpool against Arsenal, and this is going to be a very, very, very intense game. I can see Liverpool playing with a large amount of determination. I think that they normally play well against the big sides, just the smaller clubs that they tend to struggle against. So I do think that they will play very, very well. How Arsenal play against Liverpool will really determine whether or not they win or lose this game. I think that the likes of Mesut Ozil needs to get dropped. I don't think that he's going to be influential in this game whatsoever. He normally goes missing in the big games. And the likes of Liverpool with Coutinho, they haven't been in the best form, especially against Leicester last week. But I do think that at Anfield, Liverpool will have too much for Arsenal. I think that Klopp will get his tactics right, and that the players will play well against the big sides like they normally do. I do think that either Liverpool will win or it will be a draw. I can't see Arsenal getting too much out of this unless there was an inspired performance from the likes of Sanchez and Ozil, who is most likely going to be playing despite, him not deserving to play, really. So I think this game will finish probably. I could see a 2-1 to Liverpool, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends at a tie. I would be surprised, however, if Arsenal do end up winning it. But I do think this will finish as a 2-1 victory to Liverpool. On to another game that's happening this weekend, and it is Manchester United against Bournemouth. And Bournemouth have been absolutely dreadful at the back this season. They've been leaky, and it's just not looking good for them. They're scoring goals, but they're conceding way too many goals. And Manchester United are in very good form, especially off the back of the 3-2 win against Southampton in the EFL Cup. And I just think that Manchester United will have too much for them. I think that Ibrahimovic will probably score 2, or it wouldn't even surprise me if he scores 3. And I just think Manchester United have too much for Bournemouth. I think that they will win very comfortably. I think that this game will finish 3-1 for Manchester United. Another game this weekend is West Brom against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace do need points this weekend against West Brom. These are the type of games that Crystal Palace need to win in order to stay in the Premier League, and they've been in terrible form this season. With Alan Pardew, they've been awful. With even with Sam Allardyce, even with him, they haven't been performing well. They had a decent result. They had a very good result against Sunderland, I believe it was last weekend, where they did pick up the win. So they are in decent form going into this game. I know they have the players and with the right amount of skill to get a win this game. Just, we all know how West Brom like to play. They are a very cagey team. They don't throw too many men forward, and they're normally very solid at the back. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended as a draw, which is why I think this game will finish 1-1. Next game this weekend is Swansea City against Burnley, and this, we all know how Burnley are away from home, and that is dreadful. They are terrible away from home. I think they only have maybe one win this season, or maybe even just 1 point this season away from home. All their wins come at home, and Swansea have been in very good form recently. They've beaten the likes of Liverpool and put up a very good fight against a very solid Chelsea side, and they were unfortunate to lose to Chelsea. They had a penalty, which was a clear penalty shout, disallowed, which would have made it 2-1 for Swansea, and then that's a completely different game. So, unlucky for Swansea to lose to Chelsea, but they are in very good form, and under Clement, they are looking like a very, very good side, and I do think that they'll manage to get out of the bottom. They will stay in the Premier League, I do believe. Which is, good save from Czech. Which is why I think that Swansea will get the win. I don't think Burnley are solid whatsoever away from home. I think that this game will finish 2-0 to Swansea. Next game this weekend that we're going to look at is Watford against Southampton, and Southampton were absolutely brilliant in the cup against Manchester United. Very, very unfortunate not to win that game, and where has Gabbiadini come from? He performed all right in Italy, but he wasn't great. Then he comes to Southampton and he's looking like the next Ruud van Nistelrooy. His positioning is amazing in the box. He's making all sorts of runs in the box, and he's just a whole new player. It's amazing. He should have scored a hat trick against Manchester United, except his goal was deemed offside when it was clearly onside. And his movement to score the 2 goals against Manchester United was incredible. Why they subbed him off, I don't know. I guess he was a bit knackered after such a performance in the first half. But he's just an amazing player this season, and no wonder Liverpool are going to buy him most likely next season, as they do for every single good Southampton player. As if that joke hasn't been made enough times. But yeah, Watford, they're an all-right team. They have their ups and downs. They're very inconsistent, I find. They either play well or they just don't show up whatsoever. I think that if Capoue puts in a good performance and they can get like the performances that he was putting in at the start of the season, then they could get a good result out of this. But I do think that Southampton will have too much for them, especially with the form of Manolo Gabbiadini, which is why I think Southampton will win this game 2-1. Next game of the weekend, it's a kind of revived Leicester City team facing off against Hull City in what is to be a relegation battle. And let's be honest, I really, really hope Leicester don't win this game. I like they were my second team in the Premier League, as for everyone else when they were winning the league. My favorite Premier League team is Arsenal, but Leicester City, when they went for the title, I was rooting for them. When Arsenal played against them, I wanted Arsenal to win, obviously. But against last season, I wanted them to win the league. It would be something fresh to not have Chelsea, Man U, Arsenal. Well, Arsenal haven't won the league in ages, but the big teams that spend millions and millions of pounds. It was refreshing. But then after the way they treated Claudio Ranieri and then the players, the way they snaked them, they deserve to go down. And there's no team in the Premier League that I want to go down more than Leicester City this season, which is why I hope Hull City can get a good performance. And to be fair, they've been playing all right this season, since they've gotten the new manager. Their defense has been a bit more solid. They've been putting in more performances, and they've been scoring a few goals. I think Hull City can get the win, especially if Leicester play like they were playing, well, since normal in 2017. I think the game against Liverpool was a bit of a fluke just because of how poor Liverpool were defensively, which is why I hope Hull City get the win, but more realistically, it'll probably either finish as a Leicester City win or as a draw. I'll say it will be a 1-1 draw out of hope, really. And hopefully Hull City managed to get the win, because screw Leicester and all those snakes of a players. Bunch of Fabian Delphs over there. Next game we are going to look at is Stoke City against Middlesbrough. And Borough have not been scoring whatsoever this season. Their defense has been alright, but their goal scoring has not been there whatsoever. At the start of the season with the likes of Negredo, they started off very, very solid, but then their performances have just gotten worse and worse. And then you look at a Stoke City team who have very good players, but they're so inconsistent, and they've always been inconsistent. They're one of the hardest teams to predict what they're going to do. I think, well, it's very hard to predict. I feel like if I say Stoke will win, then they'll lose. But if I say they'll lose, then they'll win. But Middlesbrough, they're good defensive, not too good going forward. Stoke City they have very good players, but they're very inconsistent. I'll sit on the fence. I will say this one will finish as a 2-2 draw, as a 1-1 draw. I mean, Middlesbrough don't score too much, but I think that they do have the ability to score, and Stoke are inconsistent. So you never know how this one will finish. Then, next game is another big game during the weekend, and this is Tottenham against Everton. Spurs against Everton, an Everton side that have been in very good form this season. Lukaku scoring a ton of goals this season, and last game they had a lot of good performers for them, especially Ross Barkley. He put in a very, very good shift, which is why I do think that Everton are a squad to reckon with, really. I don't think they'll finish top 4 at all. I don't think they'll finish top 6. I think that the teams that are there are too strong. The only team that they could potentially finish above is Liverpool, and that's just because of how poor they've been this second half of the season. And Spurs just have a very, very good team, especially with the likes of Harry Kane and the goal-scoring form that he is in. He's turning out to be a hell of a player. Does Arsenal score this? Oh, they hit the post. And yeah, honestly, I hope Everton win. I really, really do. I hate Spurs, as you could probably tell since I'm an Arsenal fan. But I think both sides have the ability to win this game. I think that Tottenham have a very, very solid defense along with a very good attack. They're just an all-around very, very good team. And as this game goes to halftime, 0-0 as the scoreline, which wouldn't be a too bad of a scoreline for Arsenal going into the half. But yeah, I think that both sides have the ability to win this game. I think that they'll both put in a decent shift. If Everton play like they are able to play, then I do think that they'll at least be able to get the point, especially with the form that Lukaku's been in. But it is at White Hart Lane, so I do think that Spurs will have enough to edge the game. I think that they'll get the win 1-0. Second to last game we're going to look at is Sunderland against Manchester City, a Manchester City team that is very, very good offensively, but absolute shambles at the back. They just simply don't know how to defend, but then again, Sunderland don't know how to score if it's not Jermaine Defoe getting at the end of the crosses. It's really a matter of, can Manchester City keep Jermaine Defoe quiet? If not, then Sunderland will at least get a point from it. If not, just a loss just at a high-scoring game. But if they do keep him quiet, then Sunderland will do absolutely nothing because they are nothing without Jermaine Defoe. And I do think Manchester City will have enough to win this game. There's a lot of speculation about Sergio Aguero's future at the club, especially with the new arrival of Gabriel Jesus. But seeing as Jesus is injured for at least 3 months, I do think that Manchester City will manage to keep Aguero unless Real Madrid or Atletico, his former club, come in. But in terms of this game, I think that Manchester City will definitely have enough to win this game. If they lose this game, then that's just going to be an absolute howler from Pep Guardiola, and will just flatten his chances of finishing top 4 this season. To finish top 4, you need to have a good defense as well as a very good offense. And unfortunately for Manchester City, they have a very good offense but a terrible defense, which is why I don't think they'll finish top 4. But they will definitely win this game unless a miracle happens for Sunderland. I think that Manchester City will win this game 3-1. Last game that we're going to look at this weekend is not really a weekend game. It's a Monday game. It's a London derby of West Ham United against Chelsea. And West Ham have been all over the place this season. They've started off horrible while they had Dimitri Payet. Speaking of snakes, there's another one. And yeah, with Dimitri Payet, they're actually terrible this season. At first, everyone was thinking, oh, it's just a new stadium. They need to get used to the new stadium. But really, it's just when they've had Payet, they were just terrible. And then they sold Payet, and their form picked up. Everyone got behind the team. Everyone started putting in a proper shift, and things started moving forward. So West Ham they do have players to cause Chelsea some problems, and especially since it's at the Olympic Stadium and not at Stamford Bridge, I do think that West Ham will have a chance to win this game. But then again, it's Chelsea. Chelsea have just been in such good form this season. They're just a whole new team compared to last season. The likes of Eden Hazard putting in shift after shift after shift, one of the best players, if not the best player in the Premier League at the moment. And then the likes of Diego Costa, who's just a goal-scoring machine. Pedro, who had a very good game against Swansea. It's just strength and depth. Chelsea have a very, very good back line with the likes of David Luiz playing out of his skin. Gary Cahill as well playing very well under this new formation change. And I just think Chelsea will have too much for West Ham in the end. When Chelsea start losing, they just push all of their men forward, and since they only play with 3 defenders, they could have all except for 7 players moving up in the attack at once, which I think will just cause West Ham too many problems, which is why I think that West Ham will lose this game. It will probably finish 2-1 for Chelsea. And those are my predictions for the weekend. You guys can tell me what you think of the predictions that I've made. Let me know in the comments what you think the outcomes of the games will be. And before we end this, we'll just talk about the season and how it's gone so far. So we'll just mainly look at the top 4 teams. So the teams like Chelsea, who have just been in inspired form. Conte started off the season trying out the English 4 at the back, which is what everyone normally plays in the Premier League. Then he ended up switching to a 3-4-3 formation, and ever since that change, he brought in a new style of football to the Premier League, and it's a style that every club's getting behind now. You've had every single team in the Premier League at least once, except for Arsenal, I think, try out a 3 at the back team, and to varying degrees of success. It takes a certain amount of players to pull it off. I think that aside from Chelsea, the only real team that has a chance to pull it off is Tottenham, because of the hard workers that they have in the midfield with the likes of Dembele, Wanyama, Dele Alli, and players like that. I think that they're the only team that can pull it off other than Chelsea. Liverpool can kind of pull it off, just they don't really have the defenders to use it properly. I think playing Lucas Leiva in the center of the defense is just terrible. You saw it against Leicester. He just didn't. He got outpaced. His positioning wasn't solid. He was just a mess there. I don't think that they should ever try that again, but they probably will, seeing as they have a lot of injury crisis, and Klopp doesn't trust Marino whatsoever, as he should. So I think Chelsea, they're running away with the league. There's no way that they're not going to win the league after the start that they've had. Next team that we're going to look at is just a quick little recap on Arsenal and their season. It's pretty much a standard Arsenal season. You start off everyone optimistic, saying, oh, this season we're going to win the league. We're going to win the league this season. We have a very good chance. We bought in a lot of good players. Lucas Perez is a gem. Mustafi is a gem. And then come December, everything starts going downhill. Everyone just starts laying on the manager. Then everyone's going to be screaming for Wenger's head, as they are. And then at the end of the season, when Arsenal finally finish fourth, everyone will start saying, you know what, it wasn't the worst season. Chelsea were just too good for us, and we finished fourth. Hey, celebrate. So that's pretty much how their season is, and that's how their seasons, how it will be for the rest of the future under Arsene Wenger. As long as the board keep him there, they're happy making money, and as long as they keep him there, they will keep making money. So I don't see any reason for them. Oh, what a goal from Alexis Sanchez, 1-0 for Arsenal. But I don't see any reason why the board will sack Wenger unless the fans really put too much pressure on the board. But as long as they stay under Wenger, they're never going to do anything. They're just going to keep finishing top four. And maybe the time they'll sack Wenger is when they don't finish top four. If they finish fifth this season, maybe that'll be a good thing. They have to deal with the Europa League, yes, but maybe he'll get rid of this guy, Arsene Wenger, who he's been a good servant to the club. He's put in amazing teams, amazing performances throughout the years, but I think it's time to go for him. And we'll see at the end of the season if he manages to keep his job. Next team, Liverpool. And started off as everyone saying, oh, Liverpool look like they could win the league. This is Klopp. He has a summer and a January window to put his team together. He's going to put a stamp on the team. But then come January, come the African Cup of Nations, they lose their best player, Sadio Mane, and everything went downhill. It was also timed poorly with Coutinho's injury. Coutinho just did come back from injury, I believe, when Sadio Mane went out to the African Cup of Nations. So that was unfortunate for Liverpool, but in the end, there shouldn't really be an excuse for that much of a drop-off just after losing one player. They've had a terrible 2017, and how they're still battling for fourth place is beyond me, but they need to start performing better against the quote-unquote smaller clubs, and keep putting in the shifts that they do against the likes of Manchester City, Manchester United, all the big clubs. And if they do that, then they will finish top four, I do believe. But if not, then they'll fall under Manchester United, who I do think will finish top four if they keep up their vein of form. Next team I want to look at is Tottenham. They've had a very good season this season. They started off undefeated, but with a lot of draws. But then stepped forward, Harry Kane. He started putting in the performances of his lifetime, and he's world class, really. Like, one of, if not the best striker in the Premier League at this moment. The only real player that can compete with that at the moment, I think, is Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Diego Costa. But Harry Kane, if you take him out of the side, like one injury for Harry Kane for Tottenham, and I think that they'll be in a very big trouble. Janssen hasn't done anything since joining the Premier League, so that's why I do believe without Harry Kane, Tottenham are in great deals of trouble. But if they manage to keep him fit, I do think they'll finish top four. Again, they won't win the league, that's already gone, but they'll have a very good year and maybe break the duck of St. Tottenham's Day. If not, if they do, I'll be very sad, because it'll be the first time in many years that they do. But if they don't, then we'll have a nice little celebration at the end of the season. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have your say in the comments below of what you think of the video, what you think of my predictions, and have a good time. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button and stay subscribed for some more football, FIFA related videos, and I will see you guys next time.